My wife cheated on me with her brother-in-law, and now I'm the villain for leaving. My name is Ethan Carter, and I'm 34 years old. This is, without a doubt, the hardest thing I have ever gone through in my life. My wife, Lauren, 32, cheated on me with her sister's husband, Mark, 39, within the first year of our marriage. That betrayal alone was enough to turn my world upside down. But what made it even worse was the way both of our families reacted. Instead of standing by me, they told me I was being too cold. That I wasn't understanding enough. That I should forgive her because she had a tough childhood, and her mother had cheated on her father too. As if that somehow made it okay. I had loved Lauren with everything I had. I believed in our marriage. I thought we were building a future together. But as I found out in the most painful way possible, I had been nothing more than a fool. 6 months ago, I thought I had a normal life. I worked a steady job, had a wife I adored, and never once imagined that my reality was about to come crashing down around me. I remember the exact moment when it all started to unravel. It was a Wednesday evening. I had just gotten home from work, exhausted after a long day. I poured myself a drink, sat on the couch, and was about to unwind when my phone buzzed. It was a message from Anna, 36, Lauren's older sister. "Ethan, can we meet? It's important." Anna and I weren't exactly best friends, but we got along well. I figured it might be something to do with Lauren's upcoming birthday or a family event. Still, something about the way she worded it made me feel uneasy. I replied, "Sure. Everything okay?" She took a moment before responding. "It's about Lauren and Mark." That one sentence hit me like a freight train. I had no idea why I suddenly felt sick, but I did. Lauren and Mark had always gotten along. They had known each other for years, and since their workplaces were close, they sometimes met up for lunch. But that was normal, right? There was nothing strange about two in-laws being friendly. At least, that's what I thought. The next day, I met Anna at a small cafe near my office. She looked wrecked. Like she hadn't slept in days. I barely had time to sit down before she pulled out her phone and handed it to me. "You need to see this," she said. I looked down at the screen, and my entire body went cold. It was texts. Between Lauren and Mark. And not just any texts. Flirty messages. Things like, "Last night was amazing. I can't wait to feel you again." My vision blurred as I scrolled further. More messages. More evidence. Photos. Intimate ones. Ones that made me want to throw up. I felt like someone had just sucker-punched me in the gut. The woman I loved. The woman I had vowed to spend my life with. She was sleeping with her sister's husband. My hands were shaking as I placed the phone back on the table. I couldn't even look at Anna. I could barely breathe. "How long?" I finally forced the words out, though my throat felt like sandpaper. Anna exhaled sharply. "Months. Maybe longer." I only found out because Mark was getting sloppy. He kept making excuses, disappearing for long periods of time. I thought he was stressed from work. She paused, swallowing hard. But then I saw charges on our credit card for a hotel. Small amounts, regularly. At first, I thought it was just lunch or something. But then, when I picked him up from work one day, I saw the same name on a hotel sign. She shook her head, eyes burning with anger. That's when I knew. My head was spinning. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Lauren and I had been together for 3 years. Married for 1. And I had never once suspected a thing. When I finally left the cafe, I felt like I was floating outside my own body. Nothing made sense. How could I have been so blind? How could I have been so stupid? I drove home on autopilot, my mind replaying every moment of our relationship, searching for the signs I had missed. When I walked into the house, Lauren was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like it was just another normal day. I stood there for a second, just watching her. I don't know what I expected. Guilt? A flicker of shame? But there was nothing. Just a woman living her life, completely unaware that I knew everything. I stepped forward and spoke. "Did you sleep with Mark?" Lauren froze. And in that 1 second of hesitation, I had my answer. Her face crumbled. "Ethan, it's not what you think." I held up my hand. Stop. Just tell me the truth. Tears welled up in her eyes as she nodded. A couple of times. I felt my knees go weak. My stomach twisted. I thought I might actually pass out. As if that somehow made it better. She started crying then, telling me it was a mistake, that she didn't know what she was thinking, that she hated herself for it. But all I could hear were Mark's words in those texts. I can't wait to feel you again. This wasn't some one-time drunken mistake. This was deliberate. Planned. Repeated. I turned away from her. I couldn't look at her. I need to leave. Ethan, please. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door. Because at that moment, I knew one thing for certain. Our marriage was over. I didn't know it at the time, but walking out that night would turn out to be one of the biggest mistakes of my life. Because when I came back a few days later to face her and start figuring out what happens next, she had already changed the locks. I stood at my own front door, keys in hand, trying to process what I was looking at. The lock had been changed. I stared at the key in my palm, trying it one last time, even though I already knew the truth. Lauren had locked me out of my own house. I knocked on the door, my heart pounding in my chest. A few seconds later, she opened it. And the look on her face? Cold. Distant. Almost smug. Like I was a stranger. What the hell is this? I asked, gesturing toward the lock. She shrugged. You left, she said flatly. I thought you weren't coming back. I blinked, unable to process what I was hearing. Lauren, this is my house. I could see her jaw tighten slightly, but she didn't move from the doorway. We lived here together, she said. I had to protect myself. I didn't know what you were going to do. I laughed. Actually laughed because the audacity of this woman was unreal. Protect yourself? From what, Lauren? I didn't do anything to you. You're the one who cheated. She crossed her arms, suddenly looking defensive. You just stormed out, Ethan. You didn't even talk to me. You didn't give me a chance to explain. I cut her off. There is no explanation that makes this okay. You slept with Mark. Not once. Multiple times. And you expect me to just sit down and have a civilized chat about it? She didn't respond. Because she knew there was nothing she could say to justify it. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice calm. I'm not here to fight, Lauren. I just need to get my things. She shifted slightly but didn't move aside. That's not going to happen today. I felt my blood boil. Lauren, I'm not playing this game. Move. Her lips pressed into a thin line. If you don't leave, I'm calling the cops. For a second, I thought she was bluffing. But then she pulled out her phone. And 5 minutes later, 2 police cars pulled up in front of my house. I could feel my hands clenching into fists, but I forced myself to stay calm. The last thing I needed was to lose my temper and make things worse. One of the officers approached me. Sir, we got a call about a domestic disturbance. Lauren stepped forward, her voice shaking, like she was some kind of victim. Officer, he won't leave. I told him I don't feel safe, and he keeps pushing his way inside. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The cop turned back to me. Sir, do you live here? I nodded. Yes. This is my house. I own it. Do you have proof of ownership? I let out a breath, rubbing a hand down my face. Not on me, but I can get it. Look, I've been living here for years. My name is on everything, the deed, the utilities, all of it. The officers exchanged a look. Well, right now, she's claiming she feels unsafe, and since you don't have proof with you, we're going to have to ask you to leave and handle this legally. I let out a bitter laugh. You're kicking me out of my own house? When she's the one who cheated on me? The cop sighed. Sir, we're not taking sides. We're just preventing an escalation. The best thing you can do right now is get a lawyer and handle this through the courts. Lauren had the nerve to look relieved like the cops had just saved her from some monster. I turned to her one last time. You know this isn't over, right? This is my house, Lauren. She didn't say a word. She just stepped back inside. And slammed the door in my face. I left. Because what else could I do? I went straight to my best friend, Daniel's place, where I crashed on his couch. The first thing I did the next morning? I hired a lawyer. I told him everything, the cheating, the house, the false police report. He sighed and leaned back in his chair. Yeah, she played this smart. By changing the locks and calling the cops, she set up a residency claim. Basically, she's making it harder for you to force her out immediately. That's bullshit. I know. But don't worry. The house is legally yours. This is just going to take time. I clenched my jaw. How long are we talking? A few months, at least. I wanted to throw something. But I swallowed my anger and nodded. Fine. File for divorce. And get her out of my house. And then. My family turned on me. If I thought my family would support me, I was dead wrong. A few days after filing for divorce, my sister, Claire, called me. I thought she was going to check on me. Instead, she hit me with, "Ethan, don't you think you're overreacting?" I almost dropped my phone. What? I mean, marriages go through rough patches. Maybe this was a wake-up call for both of you. I felt my pulse skyrocket. Claire, she cheated on me. With Mark. More than once. How the hell is that a rough patch? She sighed. I'm just saying, if you really loved her, you'd try to work through this. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Claire, let me ask you something. If your husband slept with someone else, someone in the family, would you stay? She hesitated. Well, no, but. Exactly. There is no but. She destroyed our marriage. End of discussion. I just think you should consider forgiveness. People make mistakes. Sleeping with someone multiple times isn't a mistake, Claire. It's a decision. She got quiet then. I exhaled sharply. If you're calling to guilt me into staying with her, don't bother. This conversation is over. And I hung up. A few weeks after I filed for divorce, Lauren started texting me. At first, it was about small things. Hey, I think I left my jacket at your friend's place. Can you check? Then it became more personal. Ethan, can we talk? I miss you. I know I messed up, but please, don't throw us away. I ignored every single message. Then she left a voicemail. Her voice was shaky, almost desperate. I know I screwed up. I don't know what I was thinking. I wish I could take it all back. Please, Ethan. We can fix this. I still love you. I deleted it without responding. Because at that point, I was done. Lauren had already tried to lock me out of my own house, call the cops on me, and guilt-trip me into forgiving her. But when none of that worked, she decided to drag me through hell in court. She wasn't just fighting the divorce. She was fighting for my house. The house that had been in my family for generations. And she was prepared to lie, manipulate, and destroy my reputation to get what she wanted. About a month after I filed for divorce, my lawyer called me. Ethan, you're not going to like this. I sighed. That was becoming a theme. What now? Lauren is filing for spousal support and claiming half the house. I nearly choked on my coffee. You're joking. I wish I was. That house was mine before we even met. How the hell does she think she has a claim to it? She's arguing that since you were married and she contributed to the household, paying bills, cleaning, etc., she has equitable interest. I rubbed my temples. So she cheats on me, locks me out, lies to the cops, and now she wants my house and my money? That about sums it up. Lauren had been waiting for this move. She wasn't just trying to fight the divorce. She wanted to financially ruin me. Our first hearing was a disaster. Lauren showed up with fake tears and a sob story about how she had been abandoned. Her lawyer stood up and said, Ms. Carter has been left without financial support. She is devastated by the breakdown of her marriage and feels unsafe in her current living situation. Given that she contributed emotionally and financially to the home, she is requesting a fair division of assets and spousal support. I wanted to laugh. Unsafe? I was the one who had been kicked out of my own damn house. When my lawyer spoke, he shut that argument down immediately. Your Honor, my client is the legal owner of the home. His name is on the deed, and the property was passed down to him. Ms. Carter had no financial stake in the purchase, and her claim to it is baseless. Furthermore, she is fully employed and does not require financial support. Lauren sat there, dabbing her eyes like she was some victim. She had the nerve to look hurt when the judge sided with me on the house. She lost that round. But she wasn't done. Not even close. After the hearing, Lauren's mom called me. I hadn't spoken to her since everything went down, and I had assumed she'd stay out of it. I was wrong. The second I answered, she went off. "Ethan, how could you do this to Lauren?" "Do what? Divorce her for cheating? She made a mistake." "No, a mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. Sleeping with your sister's husband is a decision." She let out a sharp breath. "You have no idea how much she's hurting. She grew up watching her father abandon their family, and now you're doing the same thing." I almost threw my phone. Lauren isn't a child. She's a grown woman who made choices. And she's facing the consequences. "You're heartless, Ethan. I thought you were better than this." I hung up. I wasn't going to be guilt-tripped into forgiving the unforgivable. A few weeks later, Lauren was officially ordered to leave the house. But she wasn't going quietly. I went to meet the movers, expecting her to be out already. Instead, she was still there, sitting on the couch like nothing was happening. "Lauren, what are you doing?" I asked, exasperated. She sighed dramatically. "Do you really want to do this, Ethan? What choice do I have? You cheated. You lied. You locked me out of my own home. And now, you're acting like I'm the bad guy." She just shook her head. "I never thought it would end like this." "Neither did I admitted. But here we are." For a second, I thought she was actually going to leave without a fight. But then she dropped one last bombshell. "I want $50,000. I laughed in her face. "For what? Damages? Emotional distress?" She had the nerve to nod. "I gave you years of my life, Ethan. And I gave you loyalty, commitment, and a home. You threw it away." She scowled. "Fine. But just know, you're going to regret this." And with that, she grabbed her bags and walked out. For good. Lauren, karma caught up fast. It didn't take long for karma to kick her in the ass. Lauren tried to keep things going with Mark, but surprise, surprise, Mark didn't want her anymore. His wife Anna had cleaned him out in the divorce. She got full custody of their kids, the house, and a huge chunk of his income. Lauren had nowhere to go. She bounced between friends' houses for a while, but eventually, she ended up moving back in with her mom. From what I heard, her life was a mess. And you know what? I don't feel bad. Mark didn't just lose his wife and kids. He lost his job, too. Turns out, sleeping with your coworker's wife doesn't go over well in the professional world. His boss found out, and he was fired for inappropriate workplace behavior. Last I heard, he moved to some small town to start fresh. Good riddance. Anna? She thrived. She got full custody, a new house, and a promotion at work. We met up once after everything, just to check in. She smiled and said, "Best thing that ever happened to me was finding out the truth." And I felt the exact same way. For the first time in years, I feel free. I renovated the house, getting rid of every trace of Lauren. I started traveling, working out, and focusing on my career. And the best part? I met someone new. I won't go into details yet, but let's just say, this time, I'm with someone who actually respects me. And it feels amazing. For the first time in a long time. I woke up feeling at peace. No more fighting. No more lawyers. No more betrayal hanging over my head. Lauren was gone. The house was mine again. And for the first time since this nightmare started, I felt like I was finally free. After Lauren left, I spent weeks making changes to the house. I repainted every room. Got rid of everything that reminded me of her. New furniture. New decorations. Hell, I even ripped out the carpet and replaced the floors. I needed the house to feel like mine again. And when I was done, it finally did. One night, I sat on my back porch, a beer in hand, watching the sunset. And I realized something. For the first time in years. I wasn't sad. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was just content. I survived. And I had my life back. Lauren's life went downhill fast. She tried dating again, but word spread fast about what she did. She lost friends left and right. She moved back in with her mom, who, ironically, blamed her for ruining everything. A mutual friend told me that Lauren tried to reach out to Mark again. Mark ghosted her. Turns out, he never really cared about her, he just liked the affair. Once his wife left him and his life fell apart, he realized Lauren wasn't worth it. I'd be lying if I said that didn't make me laugh. Mark lost everything. His wife? Gone. His kids? He barely sees them. His job? Fired. His reputation? Destroyed. He tried moving to a new city, but people found out what he did, and he couldn't escape it. Last I heard, he was working a crappy sales job and drinking too much. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. Anna came out on top. She got full custody of her kids. She moved into a beautiful new home. She got a promotion. And more importantly, she found happiness again. She told me one day, the best thing that ever happened to me was finding out the truth. I knew exactly what she meant. After going through hell and back, I've learned a few things. I used to believe in second chances. I thought people could make mistakes and learn from them. But cheating? That's not a mistake. That's a choice. And the truth is, if they do it once, they'll do it again. Lauren knew exactly what she was doing. She looked me in the eye every single day while she was sneaking around behind my back. She knew it would hurt me. And she did it anyway. That's not something you fix. That's just who they are. The second I walked away, Lauren turned herself into the victim. She cried to her family. She lied to the police. She tried to make it look like I was the bad guy. Cheaters never take responsibility. They always find a way to blame someone else. And the worst part? Some people will believe them. That's why you can't waste your energy trying to prove yourself. The truth always comes out in the end. When I found out Lauren cheated, I assumed everyone would be on my side. I was wrong. My own sister told me I should work it out. Lauren's mom called me heartless. Mutual friends said I should give her another chance. You know what I learned? Some people will always defend the cheater. Not because they're right. But because they don't want to deal with the truth. And that's fine. Let them go. Because the people who really care about you, they'll see the truth without you having to explain it. At first, I wanted revenge. I wanted Lauren to suffer. I wanted Mark to lose everything. But over time, I realized. The best revenge? Is moving on. And being happier than they ever will be. Nothing destroys a cheater more than watching the person they betrayed live a better life without them. That's exactly what I did. And I've never felt stronger. It's been a year since all of this happened. And my life? It's never been better. I've traveled. I've reconnected with old friends. I've built a better version of myself. And I met someone new. I won't go into details, but let's just say, this time, I'm with someone who actually respects me. No secrets. No lies. No betrayal. Just peace. If you're reading this and you're going through the same thing, let me tell you something. You don't have to stay in a situation that's breaking you. You don't owe anyone a second chance if they've already shattered your trust. It doesn't matter how long you've been together. It doesn't matter how much you love them. If they betray you, leave. And never look back. Because the second you walk away, you take your power back. And one day, you'll wake up and realize. You don't miss them. You don't want them back. You're just grateful that you got out. Because in the end, the biggest plot twist in their story is that you survived without them. And you thrived. Thank you for watching the video. Like it if you watched it to the end, don't forget to subscribe and have a nice day.